Hello friends and welcome back. This is lesson number 4 of Mrs. Labbate's ELE Distance Learning. Today we're going to continue identifying our author's purpose, and then we're going to learn something new in math. So let's get started on our day with our morning message. Dear readers, I hope you are having a great week. I was so happy to see some of you on Tuesday. Today, we will continue to read and learn about our author's purpose. Do you remember the pieces of the pie? I made a mistake. Does anyone know where I made a mistake? In my last sentence, I used a question word. I said do, but did I have a question mark at the end of my sentence? Nope, I forgot. So I need to go back and I need to make sure that I have a question mark when I start my sentence with a question word. Because I asked, do you remember the pieces of the pie? And when I ask a question, I need to make sure I have that question mark. All right, let's see what else we can find in today's morning message. So, we've been working a lot with chunking and rhyming words and compound words. Today we're going to look at our vowels. We're going to look at 2 vowels that we usually see together sometimes, like these 2, E-A, like in the word deer. Can we see if we can find EA anywhere else in our reading? I see it in readers. I see it in great. Let's keep going. I'm going to scan through. I see it in the word read, in the word learn. Now, let's go through and let's see what sound this EA makes in each of our words. So in the word deer, if we stretch it out, we hear what sound that we hear the most. Do we hear the E sound or the A sound? Deer. What sound do you hear the most? Deer. I hear the E the most in the word deer. What about in the word readers? Why don't you go ahead and stretch it out for me? Readers. Let's try it again. Readers. I hear the E the most in that. What about in the word great? Great. Let's try again. Great. I hear the A sound the most in the word great. Let's keep going now. Read. Well, we did readers, and read is like readers, so we have the E making the most sound. Learn. Let's try that again. Learn. I didn't hear the E or the A. Learn. So it looks like our E and A are working together to make another sound. So we have the long E sound in deer. We have the long A sound in great. And now we have our sound in learn. So our EA can make many different sounds. So what I want you to do is on a piece of paper, can be a normal line paper. I want you to put EA at the top. I want to see if you can write as many EA words as you can think of or that you remember. It can be some of these words that we've worked with, or it can be when you look through your book. See if you can find any EA words, and I want you to write them down. I know that if I'm going to the ocean. Another word for ocean is the sea, and that's spelled with an EA. Sometimes in the sea there's a seal, That's also spelled with a E-A. So I want you to come up with as many E-A words as you can think of and make a nice big list for me. All right, so that's all we're gonna do with today's morning message. Again, I was so happy to see some of you on Tuesday for your supply pickup. I miss you all so, so much. And if you are not able to get your supplies at supply pickup, just call the office and Mom and Dad can make an appointment to go get your stuff. All right, so let's move on to what we're learning about today. Because I said, do you remember the pieces of the pie? Let's see, do you? I hope the word pie helps you out. What are the pieces of the author's purpose pie? Let's go ahead and flip our chart to find out. All right. In our author's purpose pie, we have P, persuade, I, inform, E, entertain, and that spells out P-I-E. Those are our pieces of the pie. So this is our author's purpose, P-I-E, our author's purpose pie. Awesome. Now let's remember what each of those pieces mean. When we persuade someone, we're trying to change their opinion. We're trying to make them believe something else. And we see examples of persuasion in commercials or ads. Have you ever watched a McDonald's ad and you know how they make those burgers so juicy and those fries so yummy? They're trying to persuade you to go buy McDonald's. That's the author's purpose of that ad, is to persuade you to buy McDonald's. Crazy. Next one is inform. Now inform means to give facts or tell you something that is true. So we can see inform in nonfiction books, like our animal books that give lots of facts. We can also see it in recipes. So when we're cooking, they're not going to give you fake things. They're not going to tell you wrong ingredients. They're giving you real things. They're giving you information. All right. And then our last one is entertain. Now, entertain means fiction, fantasy, make-believe. You can have adventures. It tells jokes. Like I've said before, when we know it's entertain, it makes you laugh. So, today we're going to read a story, and we're going to figure out which piece of the pie it is, and how do you know? On your printed out copy of the lesson, you have another one of these sheets. We did this one last video. We have another one, so you can read another story, or you could use this story that we read today to figure out what piece of the pie it is and how do you know. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our reading. We're going to read Pig the Tourist. Now, already, I'm starting to get an idea of which piece of the pie it is. Which one can we eliminate? That means to cross out. Which one is it not going to be? Do you think this story is going to tell me facts and real things? No. So it's probably not going to be inform. It might persuade me to do something. It might entertain me. It might make me laugh. So let's see. Pig the Tourist. This first page says, International Passport. Name, you crossed it out, pig. Age, none of your business. Breed, pug. Signature, pig. What a silly pug. Pug the Tourist. Pig was a pug, and I'm sorry to say, when he went on vacation, He caused great dismay. You could make careful plans to ensure happy travel, but Pig would destroy them. He'd make them unravel. Oh my gosh! With behavior so bad, it's hard to describe. He would dampen your trip and he'd ruin the vibe. He'd break all the rules and he'd flaunt all traditions. Causing disaster was Pig's big ambition. Even in places of wild celebration, he'd somehow create absolute devastation. And if he could shatter some ancient taboo, he wouldn't think twice that appalling Yahoo. Parties, parades, and processions got wrecked in a blizzard of chaos and foul disrespect. His insensitive antics would ruin your stay, till the locals would gather and shout, "Go away!" Look at all those crazy animals. But that wouldn't stop him. He'd rock and he'd roll till his roll-licking horseplay spun out of control. This says, chaos at the palace. Queen shaken, not stirred. Look at those silly faces. He's going crazy. Unbridled and vast was his need to offend, but every wild party must come to an end. Yes, if you treat locals with little regard, they'll come back to bite you. And boy, they bite hard. Look at those piranhas. Look at his face. These days, it's different, I'm happy to say. He's learned not to ruin a whole holiday. But let us be honest, the truth I must tell, although he might try, Pig does not travel well. What a silly pig. All right, so after that incredible story, Pig the Tourist, do you have an idea of which piece of the pie it was? Did it persuade me? Was it a commercial or ad? Was it to entertain me? Did it tell jokes and make me laugh? It did. I hope it made you laugh too, because Pig the Tourist is one funny pug. So, how do we know? What happened in the story that made us think that it's entertained? So this is where you can take your piece of paper and write down at least one sentence to tell me how you know. Now, if you don't have the piece of paper printed out, you can get a piece of lined paper. And I just want you to put the title at the top. We read Pig the Tourist. You can pause the video right here so you can copy it down. Pig the Tourist. Pig the Tourist. And I want you to give me one sentence to tell me how you know it's to entertain. We might say that it gave jokes. The pug was making a mess. He was destroying things. We could say how the book is make-believe. These are illustrations, and they're not real drawings. So I want you to think of one way that we could write down how is this to entertain. We could say, it is entertain Or if you can't spell entertain, you can just put E for entertain. So it is entertained because it was funny. It was fake pictures. It was fiction. So I want you to finish that sentence. It is entertained because it was. Now if you want to use a different book, if you have a better book at home, go ahead and use that better book. If you want to think about the book we read last time, Animals That Build Their Homes. You can use this book. So there's lots of different things you can choose to do. All right, so that was our author's purpose pie. I want you to keep that pie in mind for when you get to second grade, because they're going to be talking a lot about why did the author write that book? We want to know. Now, if you have the lesson printed out, you have an extra practice sheet where you're going to read the story and you're going to tell me what was the author's purpose. And it's going to ask you, how do you know? Why did he write it? If you don't have it printed out, that's okay. All right, now it's writing time. And again, if ever I've moved too fast, if you're still writing when the video's still going, go ahead and pause that video so you can get your work done. I don't want to rush you, but I only have so much time to do this. So now we're going to get into our writing time. Now, if you have the lesson printed out, you already have a nice little writing piece of paper right here for you. If you don't, you can use a piece of lined paper and you can just write your name at the top and your date. Now this is for 5-7. Name and date. And then we're going to draw a nice box following the lines. We don't want a messy paper. Following the blue lines. Create a nice big rectangle. That's a picture box. And then we have all these lines that we can write on. Now today, last time I had you write, I wanted you to write an informational piece. I wanted you to inform your readers. And you did that by giving facts about the animals that you've studied. Today, we're going to entertain our readers, just like Pig the Pug. I love to write to entertain because those are the best stories. So we're going to write a story that entertains our readers. So let me go ahead. Name. Date. And I want to entertain my readers. So first, let me do some thinking. And then I'm going to do some drawing. And then I'll get to my writing. So I want to entertain. I'm thinking I'm going to come up with a make-believe character. And when I'm telling a story, I want to include my character, my setting, and an event. Something they did that was funny. So, I think I want my character to be a purple unicorn. And her name is Plum. So Plum the unicorn. Where is Plum? I'm going to say she's in a magic forest. Alright, so Plum the unicorn in a magic forest. What is she going to do? Maybe she's on a treasure hunt. That would be a fun story. And again, this is my story. You can do something different. Maybe you want to talk about some funny story that you and your siblings did. Maybe you want to make believe a story where your dog can fly. It's your story. Make it how you want it. But this is going to be mine. So, I have a purple unicorn, so I'm going to grab my purple marker. Now again, I'm not the best artist. That's okay. I'm just doing a quick sketch so I can keep in mind my story. So, And I can't forget, if she's a unicorn, she's gotta have the horn. Alright, there is Plum. My pretty purple unicorn. Alright, so I'm telling a story about my character, my setting, and something they did because I want to entertain my readers. So, once upon a time, there was a purple unicorn named Plum. There we go. I've already introduced my character. I've said what she looks like and what her name is. So now I need to describe my setting. Where does she live? Where is she? Once upon a time there was a purple unicorn named Plum. She lived in a magic forest with other magical animals. Alright, now I've given you my setting. I've told you about my character Plum and where she is. She's in a magic forest. Now I have to give you an event, something funny to entertain my readers. So she lived in a magic forest with other magical unicorns. Plum loved to go on adventures adventures to find, I'm going to think of something silly. She wants to find, adventures to find, let's say kissing frogs. Why not? It's a made up story. She likes going on adventures to find kissing frogs. What a silly unicorn. And there we go. There's part of my story. Now I can keep writing. If you want to keep writing, go ahead. Keep writing. It's your story. I want you to add as much as you want. So another time to pause the video so you can go get your writing done. All right. Next thing, last thing we're going to do for our reading time is it's time to earn 2 steps in your reading. That means 30 minutes of you reading your books. And when you read today, I want you to think about that author's purpose again. So, I'm going to read a story to you. And I want to see if we can figure out the author's purpose. And again, once I'm done reading, pause this video, go do your reading. It'll be fun. All right, I'm going to read you a story, The New Pony. Jill lived on a pony farm. One Saturday, Meg and Annie, her best friends, came over. Jill, Meg, and Annie called themselves the Pony Scouts. "I'm afraid your riding lesson will be delayed today, girls," Jill's mom told them. "Oh no," Meg cried. "Why?" Jill's mom smiled at the girls. "Because a new pony is arriving at the farm today." "What's its name?" Annie asked. "His name is Taffy," Jill's mom said. A trailer pulled in with a Palomino pony on it. Taffy was the cutest pony the Pony Scouts had ever seen. Jill's mom put Taffy in a paddock. He ran around and whinnied loudly. "He seems nervous," Annie said. "He's young and still green," Jill's mom told her. Meg giggled. "Green?" she said. "He looks yellowish gold to me." Jill explained. "Green means that a pony isn't fully trained yet." "That's right," Jill's mom said. "I hope Jill will help me finish Taffy's training." Jill was super excited to help. 1 week later, it was time for another lesson. "Do you want to ride Taffy today?" Jill's mom asked her. "Definitely," Jill said. Jill led Taffy into the practice ring. "I'll help you mount Jill," her mom said. "I know how to mount by myself," Jill said. "Yes," her mom replied, "but Taffy is new to this. Remember?" She held Taffy's bridle while Jill got on. Then Jill's mom turned to help Annie adjust her stirrups. "Let's go, Taffy," Jill said. She nudged his sides with both legs to get him to walk. But Taffy just stood there. "What's the matter?" Meg asked. "Nothing," Jill said. She knew what to do when a pony was feeling lazy. "Walk, Taffy," Jill ordered. Then she gave the pony a sharp kick in the side. Taffy let out a snort of surprise. Then he burst into a gallop. "Whoa!" Jill cried. She pulled back on the reins, but Taffy just ran faster. Jill hardly ever got scared when she was riding, but she was scared now. It felt as if the pony might never stop running. "Relax, Jill," Jill's mom called. "Talk to him." "Easy, Taffy," Jill said. "Slow down, boy, please." The pony pricked an ear in Jill's direction. She kept talking to him. Soon he slowed to a canter and then to a trot. "Give and take with the reins," Jill's mom called. Jill did as her mom said. Finally, Taffy stopped. "What happened?" Jill's mom asked. "He was being lazy," Jill said, "so I kicked him harder. Then he ran away with me." Jill's mom shook her head. "He wasn't being lazy," she said. "He just didn't understand what you wanted him to do. You have to be patient with him." "Ready to try again?" her mom asked. "I don't know," Jill said. Riding a green pony was harder and scarier than she expected. "You can do it, Jill," her mom said. "Just remember how it feels not to know so much about riding." "Like us," Meg put in, and Annie nodded. That made Jill smile. She'd helped her friends learn to ride. Could she help Taffy learn to be ridden too? "Okay, let's try again," she said. "Walk on, Taffy," Jill said. She urged him on her legs. He didn't move, so she asked him again gently. This time he started walking. Meg and Annie cheered. "Nicely done," Jill's mom said. Jill smiled and patted Taffy. Training Taffy wasn't going to be as easy as she expected, but it was going to be fun. The end. So, thinking of that story, I want you to figure out, what was the author's purpose? Why did the author write that story? Was it to persuade us to do something? Are they telling me to go buy a pony? Was it to inform me? Are they telling me about ponies? Are they giving me facts? Or was it to entertain us? Was it a story that gave an adventure to make me laugh? No, it didn't quite make me laugh, but it was an adventure for this girl. This was quite the story for Annie. So, I want you to go earn 2 steps, and when you're done, I want you to come back and tell brother, sister, mom, dad, anyone that's home, and I want you to tell them what was the purpose of your story. What was the author's reason to write your story? All right? So go ahead and pause. Go read. All right. Now we're going to move into our math lesson. And like I said, we're going to learn something new in math today. We've been working with fractions, with our halves, quarters, and thirds. So I hope you've been practicing. Today we're going to learn something a little new. We're going to learn about time. And you might be thinking, time? What about it? I'll let you know. All right. But before we get started on time, you have to do your fluency. So, if you have your pages printed out, you should have your math fluency sheet all ready to go with your 7+ and 8+ math facts. So, if you already have your sheet, go ahead and get that done. If you don't, I want you to grab a piece of lined paper. And you can either do your +7 or +8 math facts, or we're going to try something different. We're going to try our subtraction facts, because I don't want you to forget how to subtract either. So we'll start easy. We'll do 10 minus 1, 10 minus 2 equals, 10 minus 3 equals, 10 minus 4 equals. So you're just going down all the way to 10 minus 10. So you're practicing your subtraction facts. 9 equals 10 minus 10 equals. So once you have all your facts written down, I want you to go back through and solve them. Now remember, to subtract means to take away. So you have 10 fingers. If you want to use your magic math fingers, have all 10 to start, and then take away 1. You can take away a pinky, you can take away a thumb, and then what are you left with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's how you can use your magic math fingers to solve and find your answer. You can also try and count down, because we know our count on method, but we can also count down. So we have 10, and then we take away 2. So 10, 9, 8. So I took away 2, and I landed on 8. So remember, subtract means to take away, to go down the number line. So go ahead and practice all those subtract for 10. And then if you get through all of those, I want you to jump up to 12 minus 1 equals, 12 minus 2 equals. So that's working with our big, big numbers. So I want you to practice that too, because you'll need to know that for 2nd grade. All right, so that's our fluency. Again, pause the video, go get it done. Don't think that you have to keep up with me. You can always pause this video. All right, if you have the lesson printed out, you have a word problem that can be read aloud, and you can work on that to draw it out. All right, also if you have the lesson printed out, you have a clock, because that's what we're working with today. We're working with how to do time. So behind me right here, I have this big circle, and we're gonna be working with time. Now, you might be thinking, there's 2 different types of time. We have our big clock. This is called an analog clock. I want you to practice saying it, analog. And then we have a digital clock, like we have on our phones. The digital clock goes across, and our analog clock goes around. We're going to be working with our analog clock today. So, and if you have this sheet, you'll be using this to work along with me. If you don't, if you have your line paper, I want you to do your best to draw a big circle. It doesn't have to be perfect, a big circle on your line paper. All right, well, let's look at our clock right now. What's missing? Oop, excuse me. What's missing on our clock? I'm missing some numbers, aren't I? Well, let's talk about those numbers. Because I have all these numbers here at the bottom, and I gotta figure out where they go. Well, let's first think about our day. So one day, the whole day is 24 hours. That's a lot. Now, it'd be kind of hard to fit 24 numbers around this circle. And so, what we do with an analog clock is we split that in half. So we only put 12 numbers on this circle, and then we make our hands, our hour hand, go around the circle 2 times. Because 12 plus 12 is 24. And that's how we get our 24 hours in a day. All right, so let's start with that. We got to put all of our hours on our clock. Now, we always start at 12 because 12 midnight is the start of our day. You're still asleep, I'm still asleep, but technically that's when the day starts. So I'm going to put 12 at the top. Now, in order to make sure that my clock is equal, so I have 12, and then from 12 we go back down to 1. So we go 12 midnight, and then we start out at 1 o'clock in the morning. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right back at the beginning. And that are our hours. So we have 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. That's our hours going all around. Now, the next thing that's important for our time, so if you look at a digital clock, you'll see the number, the first number that comes up is the hour number. So we read the hour first. And then the second number that we see is the minute. Now, you're looking at our clock again. Where are our minutes? Well, our minutes are actually all this little space between our hours. So, when we have our minutes, we count by 5s. And so, this is 0. This is where we start, so that's 0. And then when we get to the 1, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 minutes. And then we keep going by 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Down here is 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then back to the beginning, we also call this 60. So our 12 has 2 minute points. And so whenever we go 1 hour, that is 60 minutes. So I have 2 hands here. I have a hour hand and a minute hand. notice how my hour hand is small and my minute hand is long. So whenever you're trying to read an analog clock, a clock like this, a circle clock, the shorthand tells you what hour it is. The minute hand, the long hand, tells you the minute. So, if I have my hour hand pointed at 1 and my minute hand pointed at 0, that means it's 1, 0. 1 o'clock. 1, 0, 0. So let me write that for you. So if my hands look like this, it's 1, 0, 0. And that's how it looks on an analog clock. 1, 0, 0, 1 o'clock. If I move my hour hand down to 4, I have it pointed at 4. See if I draw a line, pointed at 4. But my minute hand is still pointed at the 0. So that means it's 4 o'clock. So that's where I get 4 o'clock when my hour, my shorthand, is pointed at my 4, and my minute hand is pointed up at the 0. So notice how the minute hand is closer to the little numbers, and the hour hand is closer to the big numbers. So that's how you can kind of keep track of what it's pointing to. So we're working with on the hour. So, can you tell me what hour this would be? We have my hour hand pointed at 8, and my minute hand still pointed at 0. So it would be 8 o'clock. All right, so now I'm going to put my hour hand back at 1, and I'm going to put my minute hand down towards the 6. Does that mean it's 1, 6? Because the hour hand only looks at the big numbers and the minute hand looks at the little numbers. So this would be 1. And then what's the minute? 30. So it's 1:30. So we call that a half hour, because if you look, it is halfway down our circle. So think of it when we were doing halves with our fractions. If I drew a straight line down my circle, this would be half the circle. So that means it is half of the time. It's half of the hour. Because remember, it takes a full circle. The minute hand has to go all the way around to make one more hour. So, say it's 2 o'clock. My minute hand has to go all the way around the circle for it to become 3 o'clock. So that's what we're working on. We're working on looking at the o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then when it gets to be 3:30. So we're looking at the hour and the half hour. Remember, half hour means because our hour is split in half. Our circle is split in half. We're halfway through. So we get down to the 30-minute mark. So, and if you were using our piece of paper, all I want you to do is I want you to label your clock. I want you to put your 12 at the top, and to make it easy and symmetrical, you can put 6 right below. Then you could put your 3 to the side, and then your 9 across. That's what helps make it equal. And then you just fill in the rest. So 12, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just going around the circle, 9, 10, 11. and there's your clock. And I want you to practice. You can either cut out your own arrows and practice showing different times, or you could just use a marker to draw them. So maybe I want to show 2 o'clock. So I'm going to draw a little arrow, my hour hand, because it's short, pointed at the 2 because that's my big one. And I want to show o'clock. So that means my big minute hand needs to be pointed at the 12 or the 00. That's the starting point. So now it shows 2 o'clock. All right, so you can practice that at home. If you have the lesson printed out, I have included a practice sheet that practice drawing and writing your different times. You can also go on Google and look up any clock games for kids. You can go on Starfall. Starfall has some clock games. And that can help you practice telling your time to the hour and to the half hour. And that's what you're going to practice, all right? So I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something new. Check back next week and we'll be working with time again and hopefully something different. All right, y'all have a great day. I miss you a lot. All right, bye guys.